Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and especially advanced battlefield command and tactics. And this Aserai Peasants Revolt is hitting its stride. We have now taken large swaths, in fact almost all of the previous Aserai territory. We have kind of this smiley face shaped kingdom to the south, and our target for this episode, or at least the next few episodes, is the Aserai. Now we have an army that's forming and marching out east, and we are out west, just devastating Northern Empire, Southern Empire, Aserai forces, and the Aserai are they are in our sights here. So our army's a little bit beat up after a few battles, but we're ready to go here. We've reinforced the garrison and got as many good-looking troops as we can because we are heading north. We are going to be invading what is effectively Southern Empire territory on our way to the Aserai. The Southern Empire have like 3 or 4 cities and a couple castles left, so I've decided that while the Aserai are down to 1 city and 1 castle, they should be the target. Of course, Hugh the Hammer here is looking incredible, level 43. And Talia Willowbark here gets a perk. Oh shit, she gets a focus point too. How beautiful is this, right? An attribute point rather, up to 9. Her medicine skill is going to rocket above 300, looking svelte in her badass leather armor there, and that's going to continue to help this Peasants Bandit Revolt. I know some guys probably object when I say Peasants Revolt because we have Militia, we have Bandits, and of course we have the My Little Warband units that continue to be a major part of our army. Keep an eye on this army to the east. See what other forces are out there. So I like to have that army disband every once in a while when there are armies. Hold the phone. Terra Luna the Khazates is taken prisoner by the looters. That's my favorite line of the whole campaign. The looters are out there like a kingdom, capturing nobles. Come with us. And what is this guy doing? Traveling to Razi. He's been sitting still. Is this guy in combat? He is in combat. The numbers are going down. So damn, this guy either got ambushed or attacked somebody else. But how beautiful is that, right? Unless it's... No, that's his army. So they just captured a force, it looks like, of Khazate. So holding the eastern front, he looks like he's seriously wounded, making his way to Razi here. And what I'll try to do here, I was saying a moment ago, is we will reinforce him with these extra armies. There's a couple of loose armies that are not part of an army. And what I'll probably do here soon is disband his army and have those armies hopefully join a new army, right? We're effectively micromanaging our player clans that are out there. So we'll see what happens here. There may be more forces heading our way. Of course, we're going to try to intercept them. It's important that we destroy as many forces as we can on the way to the Aserai, be it Northern Empire, Western Empire, Southern Empire. Oops, we're overstaffed here after a quest came in, so we get to dump some of our various low-level troops here. Looters and mounted pillagers and mounted ransackers and whatnot. We can dump these guys onto the wilderness. Our army is full. This is about the largest army. In fact, it is the largest army in the whole campaign because we are subsidized by this forest ranger, forest people fella, Oshir of the forest people. We wrangled him into our army. So Poros and Onika Castle are the targets, and this is good. He's reforming back to the mainland. That'll mean he'll recruit troops along the way. I don't want him attacking over there. I want him strictly playing defense. We are on defensive with the strategy with most of these kingdoms, and apologies for this. I just have to crank some of the attributes for these kids. These kids probably won't come to age. Almost certainly won't come to age in this campaign, not unless this becomes the longest campaign I've ever played, at least ever streamed. Abu Ki is under attack. Okay. I think that's out east, but nevertheless. So the Southern Empire have Ortesia. They have Jalmyrus. I've had a bug trying to restore the name of Jalmyrus. Of course, at this stage, you may have watched, you may not have watched, but that was edited for our Napoleonic simulated invasion of the North. We changed the name, and no matter what I do, the save file will not accept the old name of Jalmyrus or Jalmyrus. Now, I'm not going to siege here at Ortesia. I'm just very temporarily doing this. What I'm hoping is that the Southern Empire forms an army because of this, and then we can destroy it on the way over to the Aserai city and castle. This might seem strange that I'm intentionally looking for a fight, but what I'm trying to do here is reduce the Southern Empire standing armies before we go take care of business with the Aserai. Obviously, there's no armies behind us here. There's nobody guarding our frontier, although we did stock the garrisons as well as we could. It's going to take a hot minute to get over to Poros and Onika Castle there. And here we go, right? It's a little tiny army. I imagine he's just starting to assemble, so it's gathering near that little village. So I think, you know what we do here, this is also something that a lot of players may or may not do. When I first started doing this, I imagine a lot of people thought it was strange. Guzid just escaped. I don't think that's going to matter there, my old drinking buddy. We're coming for you. I'm intentionally letting this guy form this army because I want all the rats in one trap, right? If he has 1,200, 1,500, 2,000 troops, and we can destroy his army out here, that's going to make it much, much harder for the Southern Empire to launch an invasion, right? Because these armies, in fact, he's taken off the other way. So I'm actually going to go to Ortygia here and re-siege this and sort of hope to call him back here like a dog whistle, right? Come this way, boy. We've got some destruction to hand out to you. See if that was enough here. There's all kinds of smaller Southern Empire forces, you know, so we're going to be in a big battle here. And here he comes, right? Pagarios, this dipshit, is going to engage us here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of these armies will probably attack us, but that's okay at this stage. We are hitting our war stride. This army is now a well-oiled machine, and we welcome a battle here, right? This Southern Empire force, come get some. Yeah. Anything to say? Well, you guys are dead. That's what I have to say. The power bar just slightly favors them, which tells you they also have some mediocre troops in their army. We do not, or at least we do not have a lot of mediocre troops in our army. I'll sit up a little straight for this. Any one of these battles obviously could lead to a loss, but our kingdom rolls along right now, and a lot of these armies, frankly, we have just bitch-slapped and kicked to the curb. See, of course, what kind of tactical opportunities we have. Every single one of these battles is a fun opportunity to try some tactics. And I think this is the Shallows landscape. I'm familiar with this battlefield, and obviously that helps me tremendously. It would be like Napoleon with the Battle of Austerlitz where he scouted it. It would be like if I scouted every single battlefield. See this narrow way there? We're going to be able to hammer the enemy in that narrow defile. They attacked us. They must come to us. That means they must die. They're going to die en masse on that little land bridge. Napoleon, if you don't know, the Battle of Austerlitz was one of his first major victories. They defeated a combined army of Prussians and Austrians and Russians and some other forces there. And it was really the battle that Napoleon came of age. And what I mean by that, came of age as dictator of Europe. He defeated an army that, quite frankly, they were pretty confident that they were going to be able to defeat Napoleon, but superior battlefield tactics, probably better French troops, ultimately won the day. And that ghastly movie, unfortunately, I'm a Ridley Scott fan, but that movie just obviously disparages almost everything about Napoleon or any of his battles. It really is a colossal goat fuck, and it's a real shame because Napoleon is one of the most interesting stories of the last 200 years, and they really could have made like a 5-season, 10-episode each series on Napoleon, showing the rise and the French Revolution and the peak and the fall. It could have been so amazing, and maybe they'll still do that. But Ridley Scott's movie is just a colossal goat fuck, just made purely for money and maybe some cinematics, but it even kind of fails to do that. All right, so there's no reason for us to rush across here. We're rushing up, and they're not even to the bridge yet. I thought they might be crossing the bridge. We want them on the bridge, right? If we attack them here at range, they will joust with us. They have a significant number of archers. We want them on the bridge. That way their units are compacted together. They have a bunch of heavy cavalry, but their cavalry are like dizzy. They're running all over the place. One of their wings is running across the bridge over there. I'm not sure they have any idea what they're doing. Now, I'm not going to just let them barrel up here, right? So we're going to have the 1st and 3rd Division down here by the land bridge. That way we can stuff this cork full, right? We can stuff this wine bottle full, right? We can just cork it and make sure their units can't explode up this ridge. Now that they're like halfway across, I think this is just opportunity galore. Look at that. Their archers and infantry are kind of in a traffic jam there. It looks like rush hour in any major city across the world. They're all jammed up. And even if they retreat at this stage, they're going to take serious losses because our archers are about to unleash. Send this cav and this horse division off to the side here. We don't need these guys for now. I do want the 3rd Corps, our shock troops, down here in case the enemy does a major infantry push. We've got the 1st Division here. That's our shields. Almost all of them have a good-looking shield in there. It's Lake Rat Wreckers and whatnot. We have our Iron Maiden. That's our Tier 4 spear units. They're mostly defensive. And their infantry is trying to push across, so we're going to jam it up here. Let's get the 2nd and 3rd Corps down here as well. The 2nd Corps is cavalry. Those guys will be able to essentially brace for the enemy attack, and the 3rd Corps behind them without shields will be protected. This is beautiful. The enemy is totally fish in a bottle here. It'd be hard for them to be in a worse position. I mean, we have 200 archers raining downhill. They can't go forward. There's a giant mass of infantry there we'll plug the gate with. We have shock troops behind them. We have Jav Cav now lobbing their javelins in here, and it is ugly for the enemy. The enemy doesn't know what to do, and frankly, even a human at this stage would be fucked. They're in the maelstrom. If they run, of course, they're going to get shot on the way out, right? They turn their backs here to run. They're fucked. It sounds like they're charging, but that's just absolutely fatal. We could try essentially the same thing we do in a keep defense here, and pull an infantry division away and then have this 3rd Division ready to bore in here, but I'm not sure they're even going to attack. They really do seem paralyzed. And some people see this and they're like, wow, you're exploiting the AI. That is the nature of things, though, right? We are playing the AI, and until we're playing generative AI or something else like that, you take what you get, right? Sometimes the AI does nasty things to you. Sometimes you're able to manipulate it here like a bitch and just destroy their force. Now they're trying to retreat. It's 30 seconds too late, or 60 seconds too late, and they got absolutely shredded in that encounter. That was pretty ugly. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. Their archers are heading up on the hill. Those guys might start jousting with us. Their infantry is still down there, kind of vulnerable. Let's get our units pulled back here. We have no reason to cross the bridge. I don't know if we've had 20 deaths this whole battle. It's been an unmitigated disaster for the enemy. And, you know, as soon as this battle started and I saw this land bridge here, I was thinking slaughter is inevitable here. We don't have elite archers, but we have a lot of archers, right? We have horse archers. We have a crossbow division of about 60 or 50 crossbow. Now, those guys are probably out of ammo. What is this shit? There's a bunch of little tiny infantry here coming 2 at a time. What do you fellas doing? These dipshits. No idea what these guys are doing. These guys are dying is what they're doing. There's like 50 of them. Now, they are coming up aggressively here. I think it's time for another slam here. This is going to be a lot messier, though, because obviously their infantry are through. The AI might be saying, fuck it, right? If we can't get all of our troops on the bridge, let's just send some of them so there's a little bit of a trickle of troops coming in. But we're just going to be able to swallow this ragtag infantry coming up this hill. And then again, pour down the hill here. I'll have my archers run right by these guys, right? And just rain in arrows. Their archers just committed, right? Their archers just started to move up to the bridge. Let's go ahead and start pushing our units forward here. We can charge with infantry divisions. The shock troop division can be moved forward. And we can get our 4th, 5th, and 6th. Those are our primary archer divisions spread out here again. Now, we're going to have losses here because the enemy's pouring up the hill. But I also observe a lot of tier 3 units here. This is a weak second force of the enemy. Now that should bring the 1st Division down. That guy I literally launched with my javelin. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That guy went flying. I mean, now they're like panicked again. Half their forces are trying to regroup. Their archers are definitely doing the right thing, which is get back, but they're still going to get scorched on the way out, right? These guys are going to take heavy losses. And I'm going to start boring in on this in this attack. We're no longer content to exchange blows at range here. We're going to plow into this enemy force. In fact, I have a lot of cavalry, a bunch of horse archers. Let's open fire here. Got all these different cav units. They can push forward. And I think what we'll do here is just completely try to blow through this gate here. Blow through their archers. Get the 2nd and 3rd Division ready to charge. The 4th Corps is pouring down. Let's just try to burst right across the bridge here. Let's just force our troops through. Our cav units can be told basically to go to the other side. And what that'll do is basically all these archers that the enemy has, it'll just be like hundreds of cavalry stampeding their way through here. I mean, hundreds minus the one I killed. Look at them all. They're just barreling through their archers and knocking them all over the place. None of these guys can shoot. And right behind them is going to be heavy-duty infantry, shock troops. This is going to be a massacre. They're too strung out also. They're too split up to really slow down the cavalry. So it's coming through here at like full gallop, knocking archers to the ground. It's a mauling. Yeah, let's just push our way all the way there. I might get dropped again. This guy just doesn't have great head armor especially, and so frequently Hugh the Hammer ends up on the ground. We're just hoping he doesn't die in one of these battles, of course. We do have the Death for All mod turned up. I mention that periodically. The odds of us having death in a battle like this is significantly increased. It's about 5 times the normal rate, but so far so good. There's actually been surprisingly little death at all for any of the sides. So much that I had to go back and forth and test it a few times. We saved scummed, and it doesn't seem like it's as high as it should be, but it is working. There is increased death. Listen to these archers being shot as they try to regroup. Now we've got our infantry across, and we're not stopping this charge, right? We're not going to do what the enemy did. The enemy hesitated here. You don't hesitate. You hesitate here, you lose forces, or in the enemy's case, you just flat out lose. I'm going to get archers pushed up on our left flank here, and we're just going to pursue this enemy off the map. I mean, they have really been pummeled in this battle. This is one of the worst massacres of the whole campaign. And that seems to be a recurring theme here. Our army is no longer a bunch of vulnerable mounted ransackers and stuff like that. We still have looters. We still have mounted ransackers. You'll see them throwing their little rocks and stuff like that. They're still low-tier units, but the vanguard of this army is a ferocious mix. It's a mix of high-end mercenaries, high-end archers, or at least medium-end archers, tier 4 archers. We've got a lot of tier 3 and tier 4 archers. The desert sniper's a decent archer. And this battle might be over. They're showing that, and there it is. The enemy is fleeing. You have decimated the enemy in this battle. Our ladies in their prom dress chase the enemy at 300 miles an hour. It's fucking glorious. Look at how fast they move. And they have no armor. Look at this raggedy looking fella. Tasmanian devil. He's wearing fur. Our troops laugh. Clearly, we've got some other troops that have leaked in. I see some elite Maceman mercenaries. So we're going to have to do a little bit of occasional sorting of our units here to get some of these troops out of the army. But it's 99% of the original goal, right? Minor clans, militia, bandits, looters, etc., right? No normal troop line. You're not going to see hordes of palace guards and whatnot in our army. More Southern Empire forces come with us, and we're still looking to recruit minor clans, although I haven't had the leader of a minor clan available in our army for a long time. It's a very difficult process for us to gain any allies in this campaign because 5 of the 8 kingdoms are at war with us. The only kingdoms we're not at war with is Valandia, Britannia, and Sturgia. The other 5 are all out to get us. Just a reminder, the victory conditions that I said at the very beginning of this campaign a couple months ago was that we destroy the Aserai and or the Southern Empire. Those are sort of either or. I would love to take down both. We're having a lot more success for sure than I anticipated, but obviously I have a lot of experience with Bannerlord, and these My Little Warband units are no joke. In fact, we may have to do a little save scumming to try auto-resolving, and also just F1, F3, and see if they're just charging, right, with these guys with sledgehammers and two-handed weapon skill of 150, see if they have any chance. Now, this guy is going up to siege. I'm not thrilled about that, right? When these guys siege, a lot of times what happens is the enemy responds, and they're mid-siege and get slaughtered. So I may disband his ass and pull those troops off of there. So the pathway now cleared for us, or at least the large Southern Empire force. There might be a Northern Empire force or even another Southern Empire force, but we've bought ourselves some time here, right? It's going to take 2-3 days to get over here to Onika Castle. I think I will siege Poros first, and I've talked about this before. Damn. Somehow the Northern Empire backdoored us here to Quayaz. There's a chance this other army responds. Quayaz has a huge defense force. It's like 1,000 troops, although again, that's an illusion. That's basically 900 militia and literally looters and mounted pillagers. There's not a strong defense force at Quayaz. That might just be lost. It is what it is, right? I'm sticking to our guns here. The Aserai are the target. If I can destroy these two locations, take down Poros first, and then we're just wading through enemy territory here. Take down Poros, I think then we will siege Onika Castle. Now, traveling to Musum to defend. You know what? His behavior, he's chasing after troops, and now he's running from Eilena's party to settlement. So I don't know who Eilena is. I'm not going to look it up. It doesn't matter. They're the enemy. That's who they are. And they're chasing him back. So that means there's a sizable force over there, which means that Razi might be under siege, or more than likely another target, because he's probably going to get in and defend Razi, right? That's usually how it works. You guys all know this. If you're chasing an enemy force, Danustica and the Khazate, okay? We might be able to help that out, right? Danustica's not that far away from us because we're basically traversing it to the east. But a lot of times these forces, when they're being chased, will go into a city, and that means all of a sudden there's like 1,200 defenders. That's definitely maybe 1,500 defenders, right? That's definitely something that's going to be difficult for the enemy to take a city defended by that many troops. And this is looking good, right? We're just wading through. Of course, a couple targets are under siege and our other army is under duress, but ultimately I'll be able to recover from a couple of these things, right? I'll be able to go back and knock around whatever forces are attacking Quayaz. Maybe they'll even take Quayaz. We can then go back and take it and deal with whatever it is. The priority here, though, is the Aserai, and they have a massive amount of armies in here. I mean, there's just armies running everywhere, which is always the case when an enemy is enemies down to a couple cities. And so I think he did just run into the city. It seems like he ran into the city. Is he under attack? No, there he is. So 1,600 defenders in there. I don't think they can siege that. That means Razi, what he's effectively doing is stopping that army. He's stalling that army, which is obviously great news for us. Now, the Aserai have something like 12 hours after we take these two locations to get a city or a castle. I think if there's not one under siege by one of their armies, then they are eliminated. And it's risky, right? There's a huge amount of Aserai forces here. They're just thick as fucking flies. We actually would love to be attacked by them because, of course, it would reduce their capacity to send a huge army against us. They're willing to pay us 1,500. Nah, we'll just take all your resources. Thanks. The guy who's on death row, asking us for mercy here. No, you guys are finished. And take a look at this village here, just in case we need to make a little defense. What I could do if this was a good village for defense is I could raid it. It's actually not bad, but it's also not great. I've seen this village before. It has some downward angles, but it's not terrific for our kind of army. So I think we will just head to Poros. Now, what I can do is I can raid this village and try to attract some tension. I want an Aserai army to attack us the same way the Southern Empire army attacked us and just basically slammed their dick into a car door, got destroyed, and then that force is not going to be able to gang up on us. So hopefully... although a lot of times, a force like this, they don't have the capacity to make an army. They don't have enough influence. You guys all obviously understand you have to have cities and villagers and whatnot to have influence, and the Aserai just don't have it right here. So they have all these ragtag armies running around. Collectively, they would be strong enough to attack us, but obviously if they're not organized, they're not going to be able to. It's the old divided we fall routine. So 1,600 defenders here. This is going to be a bitch. And 2 days of food. Maybe we can starve them out. I think a better route for us is to try to blow a hole in the wall here. I'm in not a huge particular hurry. A lot of times I'm in a hurry in this campaign because I want to race back and get such and such city. We have built up enough cities now and castles that even if we lost like a Quayaz or Danustica, it's no big deal, right? When you have 3 cities and 2 castles, you have to respond when you have cities and castles under defense. But we have like 7 cities or 8 cities now and like 6, 7 castles. We're no longer desperate. Okay, they're forming an army. Does that mean the other army vanished? Probably so. Yep, it did. So this guy has now gathered the remnants of the previous army, and she has 800. So that's really good news. We've got behind us, Quayaz has 1,200 defenders. I don't know. I haven't looked at Danustica. I'm not really worried about Danustica. But that's good, right? He's got an army of 800. That's sizable. That's enough to now destroy forces that are sieging forces. He might even go up and defend Danustica, which would be beautiful. I don't think he'll make it over to Quayaz. And all of that allows us now to focus on this city. This city is the big mark here. If we can destroy this, we can then go immediately over to Onika Castle. It's like a day's march from here. And the Aserai won't be able to siege anywhere else. So this will be effectively their last stand is right now. This city here. And they do have an army formed, and it's as big as it's going to get because it's already mobile, and it's only 1,000. So that's not going to work for them, right? They need more forces than that to stop us here. I mean, we laugh at 1,000 at this stage. They need 2,000 realistically to threaten us, and unless they form another army, they're not going to have that. Now, the city is ostensibly going to starve. I say that because, and I get guys all the time, they're like, starve the city out, starve the city out. Well, we still have the Strength and AI mod working. So the Strength and AI mod is no longer giving troops to the units. I didn't want our units benefiting from it. However, they still get food, and I don't think we're going to be able to starve them out. You see it says 1 day of food there. That's not going down. So I think even though this is going to take a couple, 3 days, yeah, see, it still says 1 day. It's been saying 1 day now for about 3 days because the city is augmented and the units inside there are augmented by free food from the Strength and AI mod. This guy's coming in. That's aggressive behavior. He's at least thinking about an attack. In fact, we are going to get attacked. So this is optimal, right? Come get some, you stupid asshole. Emir Tariq, you're going to knock this guy all over the place. 1,200. This guy has the insolence to attack us. He doesn't even outnumber us. So we're going to teach these fucks a lesson here. A lot of these, I could probably skip at this stage, but because it's right here at the city where the Aserai are making their last stand, I think we will probably record, narrate and record this. So of course, I narrate even if I don't capture and show it to you fellas. I know some guys are aggravated when I cut out stock material, whatever you want to call it. But especially like when we catch a force that's 700 and we have 1,200, I don't think you guys want to watch that. I don't think there's any reason to watch that. You just the spam fills with green across the screen. We suffer 20 losses and we move on. There's no suspense, no chance of us losing. It's not even really interesting tactics. A lot of times all I have to do is a modified C-form with the kill box and the enemy just wilts. Here we will do a little bit of interesting tactics. I've got these upper hills here to play with. There's a little bit of reverse slope declines on both sides of the ridge here, and we're going to be able to kite here. It kind of depends on what the army makeup is that we're fighting. I didn't get a real close look. If they have a bunch of archers, we may have to change our strategy here. Most of the time, your enemy has lots of infantry, and if that's the case, this landscape is pretty well suited for us to kite and destroy. See, this ridge here is a bit of a peekaboo ridge. So the 6th Division have been mixing skirmishers and archers, and I like it for certain battles. If it's a archer duel, I don't like it, because I don't want those shock troops standing next to the 6th. But any kind of a kill box, it's highly valuable, because I then have skirmishers, archers, and shock troops in that 6th Division when we surround the enemy, and that may be the case in this battle. Now we're near the end of the map. I don't like that, right? I would prefer to move up and then have some room to kite. So depending on what they do here, we may move our units up right away. 300. They have a very mixed army here. They have more infantry than anything. They're going to be bringing that infantry forward. I think we will use these ridges here, pound them as they come in, and then enact a kill box. Whoops. Our little NVIDIA GeForce experience thing popping up. When you're mashing this many keys, you're just bound to fuck stuff up. sending in some horse archers here. The rest of their troops are not coming up aggressively. I'm kind of surprised by that. I mean, they attacked us. They must attack here. This is a huge advantage. I mention it all the time here, but if we attack them, this might be a very different battle. They might sit back in a good defensive position and force us to charge reinforced entrenched archers. This is much, much easier just to slaughter horse archers here. These guys probably have no assistance. I don't see any cav over here at all. The enemy units are 200 units away. They ran right to our second corps, which is beautiful. Right now they're trapped. They're all going to get held up and shot on the way out of here. Now, they're not all going to get annihilated, of course, but they're definitely taking a beating just trying to leave. Okay, here comes their main infantry vanguard. Let's go ahead and start moving units back here. The 5th, 6th we can kite with. In fact, the 4th, 5th, and 6th we can kite back with. The 3rd and 1st need to be to either side of this opponent. We want to suck them into the 1st, and we'll send the 7th and 8th just way off to the side for now. That's horse archers, cavalry. We'll bring them in later. We're suffering a lot of losses here, but I think this is mostly our these really light horse archers, right? We have this 7th division. In fact, I botched their location. You know, I make mistakes all the time. Guys seem to somehow think that we're fighting perfect battles. No, it's such a complex game and moving all these units around. Sometimes you either miss-hit a button or you just can't see something that's going on in the battlefield. And that was a good example. We had our horse archers up there getting trucked by their main vanguard. Now, we're not going to mess this up. I can see their vanguard coming in. Just like I said before, the 6th gets put on the enemy's right. The 1st get moved back with the 5th. The 3rd will be on this far side here. The 4th can come kiting back, and then we'll bring the 2nd, 7th, and 8th in to sweep in on the enemy at the end. We're going to be able to open this right up. How the fuck 3rd Corps move? I must not have clicked them right. That's another good example. Sometimes you just don't get the unit movement you want. And actually defend with the 2nd Cavalry here. We've got a bunch of light units here in the 3rd. The 1st can be squared. The 6th can be brought down even more at a nasty angle on the enemy. I mentioned that before. Now they can shoot, throw javelins, and there's shock troops ready to charge when we want. They have a bunch of elite cavalry here sort of trying to help their infantry, but they're going to be a nuisance and nothing more. 2nd Corps out there guarding us from arrows. That's imperative, right? Because they have archers moving up, shooting us. All of these ladies in red, right? Lady in red. Okay, I won't sing anymore, don't worry. All these ladies in red with their dress, they're highly vulnerable to arrows, right? So if we can protect them a little bit. In fact, I don't want them engaging this force there in the maelstrom. I'm going to feed them the 1st Division here and just keep them between the 3rd and the 6th. They are firmly in the fucking crocodile's mouth. Now the 6th Division can be told to charge. The 1st is here. You know what? We'll just charge with the 1st. A lot of times I use it as a square. Let's blow the doors off here with the 3rd Corps. And they're trying to regroup now. Or who knows what they're trying to do. They're going to get just completely eviscerated here. I mean, troops push in on every side. They already took a beating of ranged weapons. And they just melted. I don't know if they got 5 kills there. All right, they've got a wave of infantry, and this ridge protects us from archers. So let's do a quick reset here. Sometimes the guys ask how I can do this fast. You ever typed your email, right? You guys can type your email quickly. That's exactly what's going on here. So that whole batch of commands is me basically moving the units back, and it doesn't have to be precise. The biggest thing is you're pulling them over this ridge so they can't be shot. We have protection from this ridge. The only guys that are getting shot are those that were still chasing after the enemy. These guys, in fact, those are reinforcements coming in. All these guys coming across from the right to the left, I was going to say. And there you have it. This Aserai force, I mean, they got, well, choose your adjective. I use the same adjectives too often. They got completely smashed and crushed, shattered to pieces there. That was annihilation. And that is part of the problem with the AI in Bannerlord, especially if you know advanced tactics. These armies, these enemy AI, they will very readily attack you when the power bar gives them a 58% chance to win or whatever, right? When the power bar gives them basically a good chance to win, the AI says attack, right? Because a lot of players, especially those who are using the sergeants, lose that battle. But obviously with advanced tactics, that force got completely shattered 400 troops left in their army. I should have done a little bit more surround and drown. Actually, what I should have done is anticipated them trying to rout or pull back there, but it doesn't matter. That's certainly nitpicking what was a very clean engagement. Now the city, right? Now after we've destroyed and repulsed their attempt to stop us here, the city here must be quaking in their boots because they just saw that. I mean, of course, we're role-playing, but if there were troops inside cheering on their Aserai as they attacked us outside the gates, most of those guys are extraordinarily depressed right now because they understand that was the main force of Aserai coming to their aid, and it got completely smashed to pieces. Wouldn't that be demoralizing? Now, I've got a nice angle over here, so I'm going to steal this fire catapult and put it right here. Look at that angle to fire in on that opening. If you didn't catch it, we did destroy one of the walls, so there's a gaping hole over there. And we're really going to need that here, right? A lot of these cities, the AI does a decent job defending, especially with our unarmored and lightly armored women. We could suffer a lot of casualties in a siege assault like this, and we can't afford it, right? Because after this, I must, not should, or might, I must go to Onika Castle and destroy the Aserai. Otherwise, all of this effort is wasted, right? If we don't destroy the Aserai, I've used the dandelion analogy before. There's all kinds of weeds that it applies to. It also applies to things like debt, right? You want to make sure you crush that shit. No, you bitches aren't getting in, motherfuckers. Just slam that guy off the fucking stairs. Slash some of these guys here as they try to get into the defenses. This little pathetic guy, get the fuck out of here. All right, so the second corps we're going to bring up here, but I'm not going to engage right away, right? I don't want to just pour in there and face a huge vanguard, face a huge amount of enemy troops in the meat grinder there. What we're going to do is joust here at range. We're bringing up our skirmishers, archers, crossbow. We're going to throw some javelins. Our archers are definitely going to pin the enemy down on the walls, right? If we don't outnumber the enemy here, we certainly outgun the enemy. They're bringing the ram up. The siege tower will come to the other side. It's going to take a few minutes, so let's use that time, right? Let's plaster the enemy inside the city here, right? Oh, that's a good word, plaster, right? That enemy got plastered. My wife has a saying that a language, the more something is important to a culture, the more words they have for it, right? That's why, like, sex, there's like 45 words for it in the English language, whether you got banged or I'd hit that, or, you know, we were rumbling all night or whatever it is. I can't think of a lot of them, ironically, right now. But there's very many words we apply, or dick, right? Dick, pecker, schlong, when you have all these different words, it's basically society putting importance to it. And it's interesting that as a destructive Homo sapien, we have lots of words for destroying, right? Destroyed, plastered, annihilated, eviscerated, crushed, obliterated. I mean, just like these troops inside there. It's really interesting. It's an interesting psychological study. Look at these dead men on the wall over there. A lot of the wall's damaged over there, and the enemy is sending tons of troops over there. So, one or two more blasts here. I'm actually sending the 2nd Division in to basically bring more of the enemy troops up, right? I'm like saying, bring more troops up where I can kill them. Compact in there so I can just lob it right inside there. And then what I think we'll do is we'll swivel over here and blast these guys on the walls. It's just too good of an opportunity. As long as I can dial my aim in here. Oh, that looked like the perfect shot. A little bit short, but these guys on the wall are toast. And 3 or 4 more shots here, and we will be able to join our men and push our way through. Now, they have a massive amount of defenders, right? This is, even though I've killed 100 myself, and our archers and skirmishers are working, they have a ton of troops here, right? So this is not just window dressing. This is very important that we weaken the enemy. You know, it's not the most exciting component over here. We'll talk more words for Pecker, Johnson, my little friend. All the different words we have for dick, penis. Yeah, you guys get the idea. We'll try to keep this from being too X-rated. I can hear your girlfriend, your wife or whoever, friend saying, what the fuck channel are you watching? Is this guy like a psychopath? One moment he was embracing murder and said, we like murder. And then the next one he's rambling off 35 words for dick. Well, we're going to grab our horse here. This guy's name is Harry Johnson. We're going to charge this left side here. We're just going to barrel right in at this stage. I've got reinforcements coming up here. We'll talk about some communism. We'll have all your loved ones concerned here. And you can grin the whole time knowing that we're just fucking around. We've got a giant scrum inside here. They do have a big long line of defenders, but they're starting to get antsy. You can see the defenders starting to fall back to the main gate. They're probably trying to defend the other side as well, and the ram, right? The ram is starting to push through. Let's get a square shoved through here. That'll move those troops physically through. Look at them just shove their way through. And now we can get archers and infantry behind these guys and just just completely demoralize this Aserai force. I mean, they are being throttled. Now, probably half their force is militia, right? They didn't have much of a chance anyways. But all of our army... Actually, I can't say that. We actually do have militia. I was going to say we don't have any militia. We probably do have 100 militia in our army. But we're using them a little bit better than the enemy here. We're using our javelins better, just right in the face. And I'm just going to wait in here. I don't care if I get knocked down. This guy just is not... Oh, shit. The enemy's popping out of the ground. This guy just not Hugh the Hammer. His personality is fucking attack. No idea how I missed there. That guy literally... He like... My hammer went right through him. That time it didn't. But man, he got a couple good blows in on me. Let's push forces through the gate here. Oh, Poros, man, we've had a really good defense here. This will be interesting if we get assaulted here. We may have the opportunity to defend this. And we may try that secondary siege defense. Of course, I don't want to blow too much of it, but this is one of the handful of places in Bannerlord where the secondary defense is actually better than trying to defend the gate. Or at least it's comparable, right? It's a very good secondary defense. And if you don't know what that means, it basically means defending the interior courtyard. The enemy's screaming again. Maybe that was the sound of their troops. That's the sound they make when they run. They just sound like a mouse getting stepped on or a 6-year-old girl. This is a noble here that we can pound. Let's give this guy some blows. He seems magnetized to me. Get off. Right, we're just going to beat this guy over the face. I mean, we abused that guy. He got kicked and like 3 hammer shots in a row. And I think it was Gulison. Just got completely shredded there. Pounded. As did this Aserai defense force, right? This is the kind of siege defense that when I was new to Bannerlord or I had been playing for half a year, this is a very hard defense. Their forces are getting shoved off the ladder. I mean, this poor force is just getting torn apart. But this is kind of force and siege assault where I would have a very difficult time, but now we have it down to a science with a combination of siege weapons and skirmisher units and pushing in with squares and archers and javelin guys outside. I mean, it really is just textbook destruction here. I'm sure there are ways I can improve, right? Life's all about that, right? I continue to make improvements. You guys continue to help me improve. Even recently, I've gotten good recommendations by you enthusiasts on the channel about how to get better, and I owe a lot of my success to that, right? You guys have given me many, many clues over the past year on how to get better at Bannerlord. We're killing more of our own troops here, smoking forest bandits. We totally redeemed ourselves there by killing one of those last guys, and victory is achieved. 117 dead, 256 injured. This is a really good result for sieging a heavily defended city. I mean, this is the kind of thing, like I said, you could easily suffer 1,000 casualties, or even get repulsed completely if you didn't have good tactics. 1,500 Aserai forces here just melt away. I think we'll actually fight this again. I know this is definitely not the most exciting thing, but it seems important. This is basically the Aserai's last stand here, so I'm going to lead the fucking forces here. We're just going to get to the front of the line here, and I'm just going to click my mouse button like a fucking mouth breather, knuckle dragging. No tactics needed here. Just swing 110 speed hammer as fast as you can and pound the enemy against the wall. You hiding in there, buddy? Come get some. The sounds are one of the best parts of this game. That's the best. That one sounds like it hurts. It just sounds like it hurts. As our unstoppable behemoth powers its way in. Now I see Fiend champs here, so our companions are cheating. These cheating motherfucking companions of ours. They are recruiting Fiend champs, probably from their prisoner line. I think there's probably mods out there where you can tell them don't recruit prisoners, but unfortunately in this campaign I don't have that mod. I'm not going to load it at this stage either. What we'll do, though, is we will fix our garrison, as we often do in this situation here, right? We will stock this city, Poros, with maybe 100 or 150 troops. We will give them a nice governor that increases the amount of militia, right? We need lots of bandit rebel militia to immediately start popping up here. We're going to dump some food on the city, even out our forces a little bit, and then I will go through and ditch some of these high-end troops. I'm having to do that periodically. A lot of times I skip it. You guys don't see it, and I would prefer to just kind of keep this campaign moving along so that you don't see that meaningless kind of stuff like that. We'll pillage the city here. Our guys like a little pillage. Looks like it destroyed the walls. These guys are constantly begging for peace. There will be no peace. Again, we are simulating very much that we are following the playbook of the French Revolution when they declared war, basically, on all the imperial kingdoms and said, come get some, you fucks. You Prussians and Russians and English and Dutch and everybody else, you guys are either going to join the French Revolution or you're going to fight against us. And I do need a minute here to clean out these units. So a little bit of maintenance here, and we will be right back. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. This city had lots of livestock, so we'll take advantage of that. This is a really good way to give people food for some reason. Unless there's some mechanic I don't know about, the cities will develop huge amounts of livestock, but the people can't eat them. Your own party will actually, you'll get the little message. It says your party slaughtered some livestock, right? You can picture the guys having a big barbecue. But cities, even if they're starving, won't use this meat. So we're going to go ahead and slaughter it for them, right? Looks like meat's back on the menu. That classic one-liner from the Lord of the Rings series. And hopefully Poros can now hold out. So I can't run over to Dunistica, but fortunately they haven't even began the siege. What's happening down here? Kalharn Zahar, she's got an army. She's fighting. I hope she was the one who engaged. Otherwise, she's going to be destroyed. Knitter of the Gilman. Speaking of the Gilman, I want to recruit the Gilman. I want one more minor clan. So Nuldan, I don't think we have him. He's wandering around out there. He might be a prisoner at Quasira. I might have to go try to get him. Actually, that's one of our player clans owns that. So unfortunately, we continue to have a hard time gathering friends up in this campaign. Of course, we're not going to recruit enemy nobles. People ask that a lot. Not going to do that. That's just a game condition. We didn't even do that for our Aserai campaign. I understand that might be a spoiler for someone watching that later, but it's an important thing. I didn't want to have a bunch of help from other nobles, right? We're not going to use Unquid and other forces to help us, right? We're going to do this on our own. It's more fun that way. It's more challenging. It's more authentic, right? We're not going to have a bunch of traitorous nobles join our bandit revolution here. I'm loving it. Boer champions and highwaymen and desert terrors continue to roam the land here. So I need to dump some troops here on Talia Willowbark. We're a bit overstaffed. I'm lucky I didn't get deserters here. We dumped the Imperial troops, the Aserai troops and whatnot that slipped in. You know, we're just dumping Fiend champs. You can just picture the Fiend champs walking up. General, do you have a message for me? Yeah, you can leave. We don't need you. And they're like, I'm one of the best archers Calradia has ever seen. It's like, yeah, you can leave. You're of the nobility. We don't want anything to do with you. In fact, they're considered noble troops, right? Like your Fiend champs. Ostensibly, they carried a patent of nobility. Nobility is a funny thing, right? I can preface this siege assault here. This last Aserai siege assault here. What is she? Okay, so she's still gathering an army. It's strange stuff going on there, but she defeated whatever force was attacking her. But I can preface this by talking briefly about the nobility. Of course, the nobility, and we'll spend 3 or 4 minutes here because I think it's going to take a few minutes to siege. The nobility originated from the Dark Ages, right? People basically started to band together, and just like today, how we have our elite athletes, they more or less nominated where it was selected for them elite warriors to defend them, right? And that's where the 3 different classes, the 3 Etats from the States General developed, those who fight, those who pray, and those who work. And the knights were effectively the defender of the people, right? That's why you see It's part of what's called the manorial system. That's why you see these idyllic villages, whether it's in games like this or in paintings or whatever it is, where there's the cathedral and then usually a fort/castle and then all the little huts and a wall built around it, right? Like a small wall or something like that, a motte and bailey. And basically the idea was that the people themselves couldn't afford to train to fight, and they couldn't afford armor and a horse like that, so they pooled their resources together and essentially developed knightly retinues, a knight with maybe a handful of guys who would help him, and then of course as there were more and more knights, they would join together, and if there was a large battle, it would be dozens or scores or even hundreds of knights that would all fight together, these highly trained, usually armored, heavily armored, sometimes even unarmored horses, and of course they would have all kinds of other troops, and that was the origin of the nobility. We might have to, this little side branch might have to wait here a second. I don't know if this Southern Empire force was coming in. Well, let's just keep going in case they don't attack us. They may just go right by us. So Louis XIV really started sort of diluting the nobility. The nobility in France for a very long time was mostly these families. These families, the noblesse de la paix, or I can't remember what the French term is for it, but it's basically the noble of the sword. And this guy is attacking. They're diverting. They were heading to Poros, and instead he says he's caught us, another soon-to-be dead men Southern Empire force. I'm actually going to continue this little narration here as we set up about the nobility. So Louis XIV needed money for his various different wars. Louis XIV was a warmonger. He believed very much in la gloire or something like that, basically glory. If you have everything, if you just have unlimited concubines and money, these guys tend to fall in love with their own image. And he very much fell in love with his own image, right? Narcissism, whatever you want to call it. He was literally called La Race Soleil, the Sun King. And Louis XIV really, both to strengthen his kingdom. He had ministers advising it, very aggressive war ministers, but also just people in general were saying, hey, we've got strength, right? Back then, might definitely made right. If you were stronger, you just simply took over your neighbor. And so Louis XIV engaged in many wars. Well, it became very expensive to engage in all these wars, and he realized that a bunch of this merchant class, this new group of people that were previously not part of the three different classes of society, the merchant class, they didn't really know what to do with them. They were these super rich merchants, basically. A lot of them were peasants, basically, who developed a business, and the nobles didn't know what to do with them. They just knew they were very rich, right? They had a lot of cash. They usually didn't have land. It's a very, very big difference. That's why you hear of things like the landed aristocracy. They're referring literally to the fact that they had land. Well, so this new merchant class, what they effectively did is bought noble titles, and that might seem strange, but status is what it is today. People still want to be sir and lord and all this other fucking stupid nonsense. I think it's stupid as fuck, but I'm definitely not a conventional person. I can't believe that people gave a shit whether or not they were a baron of this or whatever. But it was very important to people back then. So Louis XIV, what did he do? He simply sold it. He said, for 6,000 you can become so-and-so. They actually had a title by the 1700s. You were called the Secretary of State for France, and there were hundreds of them. And these guys would pay 120,000 livres. I think that's how you pronounce it, livre. It's basically like their dollar, or kind of equivalent of their dollar back in the day. And for 120,000, which is a huge sum of money, these guys would then become what was considered the Secretary of State for France. Which is stupid if there's like 100 of them, but what can you say, right? People were dumb. People are dumb today. They were still dumb back there. Back then, the AI is dumb today. See, someone stupid probably developed this AI. That's why it's so mediocre. All right, I digress here. We better not get too fucking out of line here. Better not sound like too much of an arrogant prick. Your girlfriend's already suspect about the channel here. Let's do some tactics here. We've done our little history today. We're basically going to try to pull the enemy in here towards this right, or towards this left. It was right there when I was facing the other way. This left side is buttressed against these rocks, and there's a ridge that we can pour over and attack the enemy in this situation. We're either going to attack their infantry charge, or we're going to attack and envelop their archers. They have a lot of archers here, and it looks like they're content to joust at range. You notice they're not moving up there It's very probable that we're going to have to be the aggressor here. I say we're going to have to. Theoretically, we could kite here, but they have so many archers. I think a ranged battle here is bad for us. You can actually see them starting to score kills. And it's a huge block, right? Look at that. That is a massive amount of archers. I can barely ride through here without getting smoked. I think we're going to have to envelop this. We got a sleepy cavalry charge here as the enemy tries to come up pathetically. We can just buttress the second with the first. They're getting scorched with crossbow. I'm just going to basically hold the center here. This is a classic flanking turn, right? We're going to try to basically keep the enemy's attention here with the center and then move our forces in from the right. Now, it may not work. The enemy may actually change their target here or change who they're shooting at because we have so many troops on our right side here, right? We have the 6th, 3rd. I don't know if I can remember them all here. Let's see. 6th, 3rd, 8th. Who else do we have over here? Oh, and the 7th. The 7th horse archers are over here. They're just kind of fodder, though. These tier 2 horse archers we have are so bad. But we'll see, right? We're now moving up big forces hard on the enemy's left flank, our right flank. So far, so good, right? They're just letting us bore in on their side here. Their cavalry is causing losses here. There's nothing I can do about that, right? We don't have heavy horse. So heavy cavalry like this are definitely going to do a number to our units. But we are now in... Oh, shit. Did you see that? They literally just swiveled to face our new threat here, that's actually good AI. You know, I take it back. This is designed by perfectly decent, mediocre coders. All right, so let's go ahead and take advantage of that. It doesn't really matter which side they face, right? Now we can just bore in on the other side. I got the 1st, 2nd, and 4th Division over there. That'll be just as effective. But I still want to surround them here with our 6th. We've got archers, we've got skirmishers. So what we're going to do here is flank even harder here. We're basically wrapping around the enemy from the enemy's left, right? You can picture it like over here is the mouth of the Pac-Man. Now we're going to press them, flying horse, we're going to press them in the center so that they can't regroup, right? So that if they retreat, they're just going to get run over by our infantry lines. Our 5th and 4th are not in good position here, so we can manually position these guys on the walls. They're going to get shot as they come over that ridge, but if we do this right, our units here are going to bore in before they can shoot them. In other words, that 5th Corps will be set up as the enemy's trying to find a new position. Come on, boys, get up there. There's a lot of death. This is natural. The early stages here, look at the 6th coming in behind them. This enemy is fucked. They are surrounded. Our 5th are coming over the ridge there. All right, we need to get our infantry division boring in here. Look at this shit. We're behind them. Let's go, boys. All these two-handed women and I go boring into the enemy's flank. And not just their flank. Their archers are trying to regroup over here. And all of a sudden we have 200 units just crushing them and smashing their horses. Now their archers are set up over there just spraying everything that's trying to regroup. And we've got ourselves a massacre. Guys, a lot of times want to see us do aggressive tactics, so this definitely qualifies, right? We could have definitely played the range game and did some flanking. This is just a full savage turn flanking development here, and the enemy melts. I mean, we're definitely suffering losses here, but man, this was a throttling. Oh, you ran right in front of it, dude. I mean, somebody else threw that javelin. That was reckless. Who threw that javelin, man? That was so reckless. All right, let's see what we got going on here. They've got infantry pouring over this ridge. They've got a bit of a peekaboo ridge on us here, and they have to attack us still, even though I'm moving aggressively. Don't forget who started this fight, so we're going to pull back. We're just going to have these archers stand right at the edge here. They can spray all these troops coming over the ridge, and we will fight right at the top of this ridge here. That way their archers can't really shoot us, and we can just scorch their guys as they come over this ridge. This battle is not just over. This is another just sort of textbook destruction of an enemy force here. They've got a bunch of peasants. The Southern Empire is definitely reeling in this campaign as well. They've been at war with us for a long time, and we've been, frankly, putting a beating on them for a long time, right? So they're really starting... Nice hit, dude! We've really starting to wear these foes down here with the war attrition. I mean, they're having army after army completely annihilated here, and eventually you just run out of resources. You run out of high-end troops. You run out of influence to gather armies. You run out of fucking money. The AI runs out of money, even though they're still getting free money with the AI, the strength and AI mod. You just cannot sustain this rate of losses. And this is just, again, another destructive loss here for the enemy. And because of our envelopment, they didn't get near as many troops away as that Aserai force did earlier. Maybe they got 200 or 300 troops out before they were all annihilated here. You know, another 200 losses for us, but only 60 dead, right? Those medicine skills are really starting to pay off. And the enemy here is just completely reeling. All right, so a little bit of minutia here, and we'll finish this siege. So it is strange to think about, but what was really happening, and this is also critical to the French Revolution, is that a whole new class was forming. And you guys have heard the term probably, the bourgeoisie. And I don't know the exact origins of that, but it may have something to do with the bourge. I think the bourge is like a bank or something like that. And a lot of them were bankers, right? They were money handlers, they were tax farmers, stuff like that. This class of nobility was very, very rich. Actually, it wasn't nobility to start with. They were basically very rich merchants, and they were becoming power brokers. They would loan money to the king. Oh, look at this shit. The Aserai has the stupidity to be at war with the Southern Empire. I mean, that's what's going on there, right? Yeah, sure enough. They're at war with the Southern Empire. They got one castle left, and they're fighting each other outside the gates. That almost reminds me of the American political system. China can invade right now, and the GOP and the Democrats would argue about what to do about it. Anyways, so the French had all of these rich merchants, and they didn't know what to do with them. So Louis basically said, look, share some of your money with the nobility, because the nobility was starting to get poor, ironically, at this stage. Not all of them. A lot of the nobility had plenty of money. But they had wives that were gambling and shit like that. They had all kinds of problems. They had an incredibly expensive lifestyle. So it was very common for Louis XIV to sell noble patents. And once you became a noble, that was forever, right? Most of the time, you passed it on to your children. So these people were buying their way into nobility, and that, of course, greatly diluted the nobility, right? It altered it dramatically. It also created this whole like extra subclass of society. You had the nobility, the church, and the people, and now you had these rich quasi-noble merchants. And that'll be important as I continue to talk about the French Revolution. There's actually a whole period called the Second Revolution, where the people basically told all these bourgeoisie, fuck you, and things got very, very bloody. So we'll get into that. We'll do this castle siege here real quick. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to continue to ramble about this. You guys don't need me to talk about this, right? We've already had 100 or 50 castle sieges and shit in this campaign, or the Aserai campaign. If you don't know what I'm doing here, just watch any of the other battles here. It's going to be very, very, very basic stuff here. I'm going to try to chew gum and ride a unicycle at the same time here. We're going to jump on a catapult at some point. It is important to mention that this castle is a very good defensive castle, and you notice the lack of archers on the walls. The AI does a good job defending. So we're going to stop our units midway up the ladder, which might seem strange, but I just want the enemy to be defending the top of the ladder so that our units can scorch them up there. Right? Basically, we're putting pressure on the enemy, and I'm going to jump on this fire catapult and just immolate the enemy left and right. While we're doing that, we can talk a little bit about the Second Revolution, the second part of the French Revolution. So obviously, you know, they took power from the nobility, took power, basically reduced Louis XVI to a figurehead, right? He's still alive. I know at times I've told you he got executed. At this stage, 1792-93, Louis XIV is still alive. He's plotting, of course, to try to regain power. Eventually, I told you he tried to escape to Varennes, or I think, or something like that, and he was captured. And that was really the downfall of him and his family. When you try to escape, and it becomes clear later on, they found a black box within his palace where he was clearly negotiating secretly with other kingdoms to restore and put down the revolution, right? This is not going to go well for you. But so you have this revolution, and the people take over. Well, who is the people, right? It's all kinds of different people. And for sure, it wasn't the carpenters. They weren't all of a sudden pulling out their ink and their feathered pen and writing laws, right? These guys had no idea what to do. So as usual, there was a power gravity and who filled it, a power vacuum rather, who filled it? Well, of course, the most intelligent people, the lawyers, the people who had a lot of money, maybe they're already part of the Parlement or other parts of the government. And they did what a lot of people typically do when they're in power and they're writing new laws. They made laws and rules and whatnot that favored them, right? That favored the richest people. Big surprise, right? So the kings, the king and a lot of the aristocracy has their power taken away, and this secondary group of sort of powerful, rich people within France, they say, you know what, we're taking over. We're not going to have a full revolution here where everybody gets to vote and stuff like that. No, fuck that. The people are going to do stupid things. Let's go ahead and replace the king with ourselves, right, with the bourgeoisie. And let's pass a bunch of laws that repress the people and keep them poor, keep them our servants and stuff like that, or at least keep them basically in the fields working, making us money, right? Ultimately, humankind is corrupt, right? And typically, when you replace somebody like Louis XVI, you're going to get more tyrants or more other people that are kind of similar to him that regain or that start to seize power. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of humankind. Louis XVI was actually a really kind, gentle king. In many ways, France would have been better off keeping him as the king and just trying to have a constitutional monarchy like Great Britain. And I will talk a little bit about that, my opinions on what I wish happened in the French Revolution. Nevertheless, the bourgeoisie starts to take over, and right away, the poor people and the people who supported the poor people, the equivalent of like the Bernie Sanders. You know, some of you guys, of course, don't know American politics, but this crazy-haired old guy is like one of the few politicians that actually seems to give a shit about the middle class in our country. He votes for everything from like universal health care to minimum wage increases, etc. And people like that in the American system today are completely... Well, you see, I don't fight very well and give a narration here. It doesn't really matter. He didn't die, at least, because he didn't give out a big groan here. We can just shove our troops through. I want to finish this point. Anyway, so Bernie Sanders was this... let me back way up here. My train of thought gets interrupted by my character getting mauled here. So, and we're getting rocks thrown on our head here. I got a little sloppy here trying to give the narration. It's difficult to do this shit, friends. So the bourgeoisie take over, right? They push the king and queen. They basically replace the nobility with the bourgeoisie, which is essentially a merchant class nobility. And the people had leaders that supported them that were smart enough to understand this and you know, write journals and whatnot about this. And they effectively pushed the bourgeoisie out of charge of the government, right? So you had a whole bunch more fighting. You had infighting. You had all kinds of fake trials and stuff like that, and executions, and things got very, very messy. But it was essentially a whole secondary stage of the French Revolution, where, you know, the people were like, God, we've replaced one fucking tyrant with a bunch of merchant tyrants. Fuck you guys. And the French Revolution pushed through that, right? A lot of these guys were eventually guillotined. And there they go. Speaking of the guillotine, right? The Aserai have been destroyed. And there's a bunch of people that declared war on us. I think that's normal. I think these are all clans that were part of the Aserai here. So we'll scroll through till to their banner here. And we will talk more about that. We will talk more about the French Revolution in this series. I don't know how many episodes are going to be. A lot of it depends on you fellas. But the Aserai, one of our big goals in this campaign, are no more. They are defeated here. And Hugh the Hammer has his vengeance, right? He has now destroyed the kingdom that he revolted against, that basically ostracized him, right? We could effectively become our new... I mean, we already are technically nobility, right? We're called lords and shit like that. We're still role-playing that we're just leaders of a peasant revolt here. But Hugh the Hammer, right, destroys and defeats this ignoble Aserai force. And I think we're going to wrap it up, right? This is a good spot to stop. The expansion continues. The destruction continues here in this campaign. Of course, if you want to see more, you want to subscribe, friends. I appreciate you, fellas. Please leave all the comments you'd like. With all that said, I will see you, friends, next time.